Today I'm going to show you how to set up your brand new electric guitar with a little help from my new friends over at Ashthorpe. So in the spirit of full disclosure, Ashthorpe did send me this guitar in order for me to do this video, so thank you guys so much. If you want to go and check out one of these guitars for yourself, make sure you check the links in the description and either go to ashthorpe.com or visit their Amazon store. We're going to take a look at three things in this video: how the guitar plays straight out of the box, changing the strings, and adjusting the action and intonation. Here are the timestamps if you want to jump around the video. So now we've got the guitar unboxed, but before we start the setup process, let's go ahead and check how it is straight out of the box. The first thing you'll notice is that the guitar is not in tune, but that's okay. Guitars that get shipped typically do not arrive in tune. In fact, 9 times out of 10, they're not. And this is remedied easily by a little clip-on tuner that you can get for about $10 or $15 at your local music store. You can download a free app on your phone, or if you have a pedal tuner, all the better. In my case, I had the clip-on tuner, so you just clip it to your headstock, press the button on the front, and you're ready to start tuning. And because the people over at Ashthorpe are so awesome, they even include this little piece of paper in the box that shows you how to tune the guitar, along with a myriad of other things. So let's go ahead and get this beautiful new Ashthorpe guitar tuned up. We're going to tune it up to standard tuning, which is notated right here in the open string section on your little information packet that you get in the guitar box. But I will put it right here for you to pause the video and take a look at. Now, something that I like to do after I tune a new guitar is to stretch the strings a little bit. And you can do that by just grabbing the strings in various locations and just giving them a light pull. What that's going to do is that's going to stretch the strings and keep them from stretching while you're playing, therefore knocking the guitar out of tune. So once you get the strings a little bit of a stretch, just retune the guitar and you should be good to go. Perfectly in tune. But you know, this thing is an electric guitar, so let's go ahead and get it plugged in, have a little bit of fun with it. So to plug in your new Ashthorpe guitar, take the guitar, flip it over. There's a jack right here on the bottom. Just take your cable, plug it in, plug the other end into your amp, and you're ready to start playing. So as you can see, straight out of the box, this thing is playable once you get it tuned up. That's all I've done to this guitar. But now that we've kind of tested to see that the guitar works and is playable, let's go ahead and talk about setups. So Ashthorpe obviously provides the strings that are on the guitar, but they also provide you with an extra pack. I'm not the biggest fan of how these strings feel, so I'm going to be using some D'Addario 9-42s. That's not to say that the strings are bad, they're just not for me. And here's everything you're going to need to get started. So we're going to start with the strings again. These are D'Addario 9-42s. I just really like this brand, been using it for years. This is some steel wool, pretty inexpensive. This is 0000. And these are some fret guards that we're going to be using with the steel wool here in just a little bit. Here you have a string winder with a built-in string cutter, super convenient to have. Now you don't necessarily need this, but this is a socket set. If you have a wrench, like an adjustable wrench, it works just as well. Over here you have the Allen keys that were provided with the guitar. There's a big one and a small one. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. Another optional one here, just some guitar detailer spray. This is by Music Nomad. Awesome stuff. And here's another optional one. This is a straight edge. This will help fix any kind of bow in the neck if there is one. It's just a ruler with a bunch of notches on it for different scaling. Let's go ahead and take off all of these strings here. So you're going to take your string winder, okay, and then you're just going to loosen up all of the strings, just like so. Once you have all of your strings loosened, you're going to take the string cutter here, which you can just use a regular wire cutter, and you're just going to snip these strings off. Once you have all the strings off the guitar, you're going to take your Phillips head screwdriver here, and we're going to go ahead and address these loose string trees. So you're just going to tighten them down just to where they're snug. You don't want to over tighten them. Then you want to flip the guitar over, take your Phillips head screwdriver, and just do the same thing with these screws back here. Don't over tighten them, but just make sure they're nice and snug. This will help tremendously with tuning stability. Sticking with the tuning pegs, we're going to be using our socket set here. Again, if you have a wrench, it works just as well. And then you're just going to hand tighten them, again, just so they're snug. You don't want to over tighten them. Here's a nice little trick. You don't have to do it, but if you have a mechanical pencil lying around, you can put some pencil lead in the nut, and that will help lube the nut so the strings slide freely within the nut, don't get binded up, thus helping with tuning stability. Something that I really noticed while playing were these scratchy frets. It's a pretty common problem. We're going to go ahead and address that right now with our steel wool and fret guards. So here's our steel wool, again at 0000. And then you have these two fret guards here. You can see there's two sizes. They're pretty inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon for a couple bucks. Then you're just going to take the steel wool, rub it on the fret so you get a mirror shine. And you want to do this for all of the frets. And what a difference you can tell just by looking at these frets here. They're nice and shiny and smooth. Coming down to the body here, we're going to put on our strings. Again, they're D'Addario 9-42s. I like the 9-42s. Typically, I play 10s, but just whatever's comfortable for you. Keep in mind the setup that you're going for, the tuning and everything. So as you notice, there are different colors for different strings here. That is represented by the ball ends on each string. You do not want to mess this up. You want to make sure you follow these directions carefully. So we're going to go ahead and put the strings on here. What you want to remember is that on this guitar, the strings go through the back of the bridge. This is called a top loader bridge. So we're going to go ahead and take our strings. We're going to go ahead and start with the low E and the A strings. These are the first two strings. So we're going to start with the low E here as noted by the brass ball end. And a little trick that I like to do with these top loader bridges is put the string through the top loader bridge until you see it through the top of the saddle there. Then you just want to go ahead and put a little crimp in it like this. Just bend it up against the back of the bridge. As you can see here, that's all I'm doing is putting a slight bend in the top of the string. That way when you slide it through, if you start to tilt it back, you can get it up easier through the bridge and through the saddle. And once you do that, you just want to pull the string all the way through. There's the ball end there. You just want to make sure the ball end gets all the way through and sits comfortably at the back of the... And then following the directions on the pack, just do that for the rest of the strings. Another little tip to help with string changes, just make sure that all of the holes on your tuning pegs are facing down the neck. So now we're going to go ahead and put our strings on here. So just remember, this is our low E, then A, then D, then G, then B, then our high E. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and start with our low E string here. So you're just going to feed it through the tuner peg hole. Pull it through just like that. Then you're going to make sure that it goes into the correct nut slot. Just like that. Then you want to pull the string taut. So make sure that it's tight. Make sure that the ball ends all the way through on the bridge. Then you want to give it just a little bit of slack. Not too much, just a little bit. Then you're going to take your finger, press it down on the string as close to the peg as you can get. Take your string winder, and you want to wind it counterclockwise. So in this case, the string is going away from me, so it's going in that direction right there. And you just want to wind the string up. Now you don't want to overwind the string, you just want to wind it to where the tension on your finger kind of starts to press against your finger, kind of where it almost starts to hurt. So there you go, like that, and you just want to wind it up until it gets pretty taut on there. So you can see there's not a lot of give right there. That's what you want. Then go ahead and do the exact same thing you just did with the E string, with the A string. Now when you get to the last 4 strings here, you're going to want to utilize these string trees. The way that you're going to do that, you're going to do just like you did before. You're going to take your next string here, in this case the D string. You're going to go ahead and run that through the tuner peg. Make sure it's in the correct nut slot. Then you're going to want to take that D string and you're going to want to put it underneath the first slot of the lower string tree. And then same thing, you just want to pull the string taut, give it a little bit of slack. Put your finger there as close to the tuner peg as you can get, and then wind up your string. And then again, repeat the process utilizing the string trees for the remaining 3 strings. Now once you've done that, you're going to notice you have quite the mess here, a lot of loose strings. You're going to want to cut those off. So we're going to grab our string cutters here, and you're going to try to cut these strings as close to the tuning peg as you possibly can. This will avoid any kind of pricks that you may get to your finger while you go to reach up there to tune. And then once you've done all that, you have successfully restrung your guitar. And just like that, you have a fresh pack of strings on your guitar. I just want to stress this point really quickly. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, it doesn't matter what brand of strings you have, it doesn't matter what the guitar is. Fresh strings are not going to stay in tune for the first few minutes until they're broken in. So if you put new strings on, you tune it up, and you go to play and it keeps falling out of tune, don't blame the guitar, don't blame the string brand, they're just new strings. That's just the nature of them. They're gonna go out of tune slightly. Just retune it, keep stretching those strings, and you'll be fine. As a guitar player, it is extremely crucial that you learn how to set up your guitar. Not only will it feel better to play, but it'll help maintain the overall health of your instrument. While this guitar sounds great and everything out of the box, I did have a little bit of problems playing it because the action is too high, and there are a couple of intonation issues. So before we get started, I want you to remember this acronym, TRAIN. Aside from changing the strings, if you follow these steps in this order, you'll have a perfect setup every time. T stands for tune. Tune the guitar to the tuning that you wish to play in. R is for relief. This is for the amount of bow or relief in the neck. A is for action. This is simply how high the string is off of the fretboard. I is for intonation. As I mentioned earlier, those various spots can be out of tune when you depress the string. And N is for noodle. Pick up the guitar after you've followed these steps and just play around. If it's still not comfortable, start back over at T. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tools that we're going to use for the setup here. So we're going to be using the included Allen keys that came with the guitar. There's a big one and a small one. We're going to be using that Phillips head screwdriver again. You're also going to need that clip-on tuner or that free app on your phone. And then this is an optional tool. If you have it, great. If not, I'll show you some other ways to check it. This is called a straight edge. It just helps to check the neck relief. Let's go ahead and start with our T of our TRAIN acronym, that is tune. So let's go ahead and tune the guitar to the tuning that we're going to be setting the guitar up for. So now we're going to check the relief, and this is how you do it with the straight edge. So you want to take the guitar and you want to set it flat. you want to find where the notches fit in between each individual fret. And as you can see here, you're looking for the space underneath the straight edge where the fretboard is. You want just a little bit of space there. If you don't have a straight edge, you can look straight down the neck just like this and look for any kind of weird twists or any excessive bowing in either direction. Another easy way to do this is to get into the playing position, take the first finger of your fretting hand and press down on the first fret of the first string. Take your thumb of your picking hand, press down on the last fret, then take the index finger of your picking hand, reach over and tap somewhere around the 12th fret. This is a quick and easy way to get a pretty good idea of how high or low your action is and if you need to raise it or lower it. So let's go ahead and talk about neck relief. What is neck relief? As you can see from this picture here, there are basically 3 positions that your neck can be in: the neutral position, forward bow, and backwards bow. You want to aim for the neutral position. If your neck has a forward bow, meaning that when you look at it from the side it looks like a U, you're going to have a lot of buzzing near the nut and down past the 12th fret. And then in the middle of the fretboard, it's going to be very, very hard to play. The action's going to be super high. On the other end of things, if you have a backward bow, meaning that the neck looks like it has a hump in it, the action's going to be super duper low, meaning that the strings are going to buzz against the frets. You don't want this. Fortunately, this can be remedied by adjusting the truss rod. You may hear a lot of people say that adjusting the truss rod can be scary and you shouldn't do it without experience, but I promise you, you really have to overdo it to mess anything up with the truss rod. If you take it nice and slow and easy, you can get this done. So the truss rod is going to be located in this hole at the top of the headstock, and you're going to make the adjustments using the big Allen key. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to loosen the D and G strings and just move those out of the way. This allows for the Allen key to turn more freely. As you can see, it just fits in there like that. The old rule of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey applies when you're adjusting the truss rod. So here's a picture on screen to give you a little bit of a guide. If you have too much of an up bow, meaning your action is too high and you're getting fret buzz in the middle of the fretboard, you want to turn the truss rod to the left, giving you more relief or more of that U shape. If you have too much of that U shape, you want to turn the truss rod to the right, giving you less relief, giving you more of that up bow. In my case here, I needed to make a slight adjustment to the right, and you want to make slight adjustment, quarter turns, maybe a half turn. In this case, if you have a straight edge, go ahead and recheck with the straight edge after you make each adjustment and see where you're at. If not, you're going to have to put the strings back, retune it, get into the playing position, and then do the tap, or you can sight down the neck as I showed you earlier. Keep making these adjustments until you get into the neutral position. So now let's talk about adjusting the action. The action is going to be adjusted down here at the bridge using the small hex key. You use this hex key to adjust each of these screws in each of the saddles, and it sits in here just like that. As you can see, the screws down here at the bottom of the saddles, there are 2 screws per saddle, so when you're making these adjustments, you want to make sure that they are made evenly. I like to start by lowering all of the saddles pretty low, and after you do that, make sure you retune your guitar. Next, you want to get the guitar into the playing position, and you're going to check where your action is currently. So you're going to play from the 12th fret all the way down on each string, just pluck each fret individually. That is the buzzing you don't want to hear. That means that your action is too low. You also want to do a couple of bends and make sure that the notes are not choking out. That means, again, your action is too low. But you can remedy that by just raising the saddles a little bit. Retune your guitar, and then repeat the process until the buzzing is gone. Now let's go ahead and talk about our intonation. It's very important to have your guitar properly intonated, and fortunately, it's pretty easy to do. All you need is a Phillips head screwdriver. You're going to be adjusting these 6 screws at the back of each saddle. Here's a better look just so you can see what I'm talking about. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure your guitar is in tune. Pluck the open E string. Make sure it's in tune. Come down to the 12th fret. Pluck the 12th fret. It should be the exact same as the open string. And make sure you pluck it a few times just so you can make sure that it is actually in tune. Do the same thing for each string. Sometimes when you pluck that note at the 12th fret, you might see this. The note at the 12th fret is sharp. Alternatively, you may pluck the note at the 12th fret
and find that it is flat at the 12th fret. This is where you make your adjustment. Take your Phillips head screwdriver and adjust the screw in the back. Now you can either move the saddle forwards or backwards. If your note is flat, move the saddle forward. If your note is sharp, move the saddle backwards. Then simply retune the guitar after each adjustment and make sure that each note at the 12th fret is in tune with its corresponding open string. You won't ever get it perfect. Don't stress too much. Just get it as close as you possibly can. Now it's time to pick up the guitar and noodle around your new setup.
So now you've got fresh strings, you sorted out any potential tuning stability issues, you've addressed the frets, you've maybe cleaned the guitar up a little bit, you've set your action and intonation. What else is there left to do besides just pick up the guitar and play it? So there's one other little step in the setup process that you can do too, and it requires a screwdriver. So you may notice when you're looking at your pickup, and this goes for guitars with multiple pickups as well, this is a humbucker, so it's got 2 screws right here on the side of the humbucker. The other 4 screws are holding the ring on there. You want to focus on these other 2 screws right in the middle. If you take your screwdriver and you put it in there and you start to turn them, you'll notice that your pickup will go up and down. You want to make this adjustment if you plug your guitar into your amp and it sounds either really, really loud or hot or really, really quiet. A lot of people are really quick to blame the pickup or say the pickup is bad, but with that simple adjustment, you'd be amazed at the difference it can make. But as I said, this guitar is now fully set up to my liking. Let's go ahead and noodle around a little bit. So just some final thoughts on the Ashthorpe guitar after a setup and everything. These things are absolute units for under $100. The setup makes a world of difference on these things. Now again, it played pretty good out of the box. For my liking, it needed some adjustments, but I'm telling you right now, take the time to set this thing up. It will make the biggest difference you could ever make. And for under $100, as solidly built as these things are, and this is an unbiased opinion because I have another Ashthorpe guitar that I bought myself before I even started working with Ashthorpe, and they sent me this one. These things are amazing guitars. You need to go check them out at ashthorpe.com or on Amazon. Links are in the description. Go check them out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I really hope that you learned some good stuff here. If you liked the video, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, all that good YouTube stuff. Again, links are in the description to my merch store and to ashthorpe.com and to their Amazon store. Go check them out. They're amazing guitars. I'll see you guys next time.